Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week, Craig was back. Styles, election season, calm down. Yeah, that was a good one, as usual with Craig. Financial fitness. If you're worried about your portfolio, which everybody does, everybody worries about their money. You're stressed about all kinds of stuff. And then when you get to the retirement zone and you got money saved away and then you want people to manage it, you want to listen to that one because Craig talks you off the ledge, and his Decedary Analytics is his proprietary algorithm. Plug, which I'll do another plug for him later because he's one of my sponsors. But that's a good one because you got to just chill. Don't jump off the ledge. Don't make any crazy decisions with your money, so forth and so on. All right. Today, I am so excited to have this young woman on, Sarah Granitz. Most people might know her by her little stage name, StrongBySarah. That's how I referred to her until I got to know her. And she's pretty popular and she's doing a good job. Sarah Granitz is a strength, fitness, and nutrition coach known for her holistic approach to wellness. Now, let me preface all of this, you guys, by saying I get a lot of requests to do fitness stuff. You guys know I do a lot of fitness stuff. I've been a trainer for a long time. I'm very careful with who we put on here because there's many influencers out in the world that propose and that suppose that they know everything and my way is the highway and all these good things, right? And I just don't do it. I find like a Lee Boyce and people who I trust and who I know and who are, reputable, and they have a good message. So when I stumbled upon Sarah, I loved her message. I like what she does. Her passion is to empower women to achieve their goals. Although guys that are listening to this radio show, this stuff is all applicable to you too. I mean, a lot of it, at least. I mean, you get into the hormonal things and we want to get into the science. Okay, that's a little different. But when it comes to the eating, the nutrition, and the fitness, it doesn't matter. You're still a human being. Okay. So we'll just keep that in mind, you guys. Don't tune me out right now because we have a women's strength and conditioning and, body coach. All right. Achieve their goals, women to achieve their goals in sustainable, realistic ways. I like that a lot. Realistic, like make it sustainable. She focuses on building knowledge, excitement, and discipline within her clients to ensure that their progress are maintained long-term. I have a longer bio with all these things, but the listeners and the fans of Sarah, StrongBySarah, want to hear Sarah. So, and I want to hear Sarah. So you know how we do this thing, everybody? This is your life. I want to welcome to the show for the first time. Probably not her last. I'm pretty sure that is going to be she'll be a regular because we had a long 1 hour pre-show call at least. And you know what that means. It's going to be a good show. Stick around. I want to welcome to the show my new friend, Sarah Granitz. Welcome, Strong. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so good. And it's like I could have went farther with this thing, your commitment to evidence-based practices and all these kind of stuff. But Sarah, please take this first segment. As you know, we have the 5 segments that we're going to do here. Take the first segment, talk about you, and we'll get into all of your nitty-gritty and the things that you see out there with people that you're helping. But talk about your family, talk about your husband, Matthew. Please go right ahead. Do the This Is Your Life portion for the show and just get warmed up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I am recently married to my husband, Matthew. He works on this business with me now full time, which is a really surprising and fantastic way to spend time with your spouse. It's really rewarding, and we are extremely different. So we have very different strengths, which, as many of you, I'm sure know, can be a wonderful combination in a relationship of any kind. I was not always in fitness. I worked in fashion actually for most of my life and career. When I was little, I always dreamed of moving to Manhattan, and I had a bit of a stereotypical dream of working in a fashion closet for magazines. I was able to do all that and more. I transitioned to corporate communications and then I returned to styling. But ultimately, my love and my passion is helping women feel good. So whether that's with the clothes that they're buying and now the workouts and the food that they're eating, that is really what drives me, to help everyone feel the amount of self-love, self-care, and self-acceptance that I have now, honestly, after a lot of years where that was really not the case. I have a twin sister who is a lawyer. She lives in Chicago. We
What's her name,
are
Sarah?
also, yeah.
What's your sister's name?
My sister's name is Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. Your
We
sister's are.
My sister's very tall. Yes, she's almost 6 feet tall. I'm closer to 5 feet tall. We are also very different, which once again, I think is a very enriching experience in a family. But otherwise, our family is small. My parents are still married, which is another gift in and of itself. And I grew up in Connecticut, which was very close to Manhattan, and they allowed me to kind of live out my dreams. And each year has just it's been very different than where I expected to be at 34, but I'm loving all of it.
You're doing a wonderful job. And the thing that really caught my eye, my guest today, everybody, is Sarah Granitz, calling this one Strong by Sarah. And if you're wondering why I'm calling it that, just go to Instagram and look up Strong by Sarah and you'll see why. That's where you want to connect with her. I think. I mean, is that your primary
Yeah.
mode of connection with people, Sarah, is Instagram?
Yes, absolutely. If you're not already in one of my workout programs or in my app, contact me on Instagram. I'm here to reach out and talk.
Well, we're going to talk about all of that today, everybody. We've got a lot of backstory that we want to do. I'm sure many of the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that follow Sarah want to know more of the backstory of Sarah. And she just gave us a quick snapshot of the fashion thing. And when we had our pre-show call, we were talking about refirement and how that's our branding for us is like the refirement zone, and how Sarah at her young age has been refiring. Let's run through the list of things that you've refired with, because you say you're in your 30s. Okay, great. I could kind of tell that a little bit, of course. But talk about this, because I have your bio here, but I know people want to hear your voice. And so please continue on and expand on that refirement journey for you professionally, through school, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, refinement, rebranding, whatever you call it, my life has had a lot of pivots, and I think sometimes we don't always realize how impactful and how meaningful those pivots can be, even though at the time they may feel like everything is crashing down on us, right? So, I used to be a distance runner. I was a half marathoner, and for me, running was both therapeutic but also exercise. It's literally how I would deal with my teenage anger. I would be told to go for a run, and that's what I did. Um, After a running injury that essentially left me without being able to run, I turned to weightlifting. I started lifting weights because the idea of not being active was just too much to bear. I started lifting weights at home, and then COVID happened. And once the gym restrictions were lifted, I hired a bodybuilding coach, and I went all in, realizing that I knew nothing about nutrition. I knew nothing about how to get strong and look strong, but also that after a few years of really struggling, I knew that I did not have all the answers, and it was time to stop acting like I did. I never competed in bodybuilding, but I did start to then compete in powerlifting. I almost went to nationals, and then I herniated a disc. And since then, it's really kind of solidified the importance not only of mobility, but also like holistic when we think about training long term, right? It's not about hitting PRs every single day. It's about being able to still lift weights, right? Through my 70s, through my 80s. And that's really a gift that I hope to give to my clients as well. Before all of that, I had to get treatment for an eating disorder very late in life. We can be any age when we have disordered issues around food, but being 25, it was very unnerving for me, and I was met with a fair amount of resistance of like, you should have been over this already. This was before I met my now husband, but before, when I was working at a company that I never thought I would leave. So whether it was more emotional or more kind of professional, the turns that have occurred have been massive. And like I said, it's now that I'm able to look back and be really grateful.
Excellent, excellent. We'll come back. We'll talk more about this stuff. Eating disorder really piqued my interest here, because I've been around a lot of people that have gone through this. My
Mm.
wife actually Sandy's had some issues with some eating problems, and so it's very insidious, everybody. And we'll talk about all of these things, because everybody's different.
Mm.
Everybody needs a little bit of love. Everybody needs a little bit of coaching. That's why we're calling this one Strong by Sarah, with my guest Sarah Granitz. This is going to be a lot of fun. Stick around. Sarah's awesome, and she's going to have some very good advice, and her story is amazing. You're listening to The Tom Mann Show. And that's how easy that is.
Thank you. Thank you. I was reading my notes, so I don't know if you started doing this before I saw.
No, I did. And I tried really hard to, I could see that um, what you were doing. And so I have a read here, like I said, and
Hmm.
then I'll bring you back in and we'll go into um I however you're feeling, Sarah. I like to let you kind of you're the boss. I mean, I'm just the facilitator here, but
Okay.
my what I would think is let's finish that thread of the eating disorder,
Hmm.
and because it's so relevant and so prevalent nowadays, and how, getting the progression of your story, because
Hmm.
the high and again high altitude for the first visit, and then when you
Hmm.
come back we can start to drill down into certain specific things where you say, Tom, I want to really talk about in these segments, boom 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 boom,
Hmm.
and then it's simple. I mean, it's really easy. Or you have a book,
Sure.
or you have a tour, or you're promoting
Hmm.
whatever class you're promoting. But we'll talk about all that too. So let's go here. I know you're busy, and we'll get you out of here in plenty of time. You got your appointment at 4?
Oh no, it's 5.
Oh,
Eastern Standard. No, we're good.
okay, good. All right, cool. Let's go. Welcome back. Welcome back. The second segment of the Tom Matt Show is, of course, sponsored by last week's guest, Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial. Our Ameriprise Financial advisor is Craig Stiles. Matter of fact, we had a nice talk about, and this was a true story, everybody, how it's nice to have somebody managing your savings, your retirement zone savings, and you get your withdrawals monthly, but you go in and you look at it every couple of months like we do. And we talked about this in the previous episode, where I go in, I'm not worried about it at all. And actually the money went up. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, well, I kind of like the way this works. So that's the thing about having a good financial advisor. Craig Stiles, our Ameriprise financial advisor, and yours. Check that episode out, because that's a true story. He will help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future, like he's doing for us. I mean, with the right financial advisor, life can be-ism, everybody, be brilliant. Please call Craig at 1-800-528-1355. His local number, which I just used yesterday. I should have this memorized. I've said it so many times. 517-483-4893. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. That's craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located at 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Don't let the East Lansing address dissuade you from reaching out to Craig or sending us a note on the website, because Ameriprise is a huge company. I mean, they're national, they're international. And so he'll know someone, he will vet them for you. He will always take the call. Like all three of our sponsors, they're all very approachable, very trustworthy, and people you want to deal with. Okay. Stations that are in and out of the network that have carried us in the past carry us now. Some do, some don't. We come and go with radio. You know how that is. WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, Michigan was the very first to carry us on broadcast radio a long time ago. So I always mention WGHN because I'm so grateful to Will Teeman and Wendy Hart, the owners of the station, for taking a chance on a newbie like me. WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing is the flagship station of the Michigan Talk Network. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids. WYPV FM 94.5 in Mackinac City, way up north. And of course, the big rocket ship out at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 News Talk, blasting all the way to Lake Michigan. AM 870 and simulcast 102.3 FM in East Lansing. Go green, go green. Craig Stiles created Necessary Analytics. That's what puts him over the top with his proprietary algorithm. That's why we love him so much. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber for carrying us on their syndication on the Michigan Talk Network. Okay, back to our show today. Fitness nutrition show with Sarah Granitz, Strong by Sarah. You may know her by her stage name, Strong by Sarah, and I call her Sarah, and you guys can call her whatever you want, but you should call her and get on her program, because you're going to learn a lot from this young woman. She has got it going on. She has the story behind it, and I believe what she's doing is very fact-based, very evidence-based, and it's very applicable. It's no quick fix, none of that bull crap. All right. We don't do bull crap fitness stuff around here. There's enough of that out there. All right.
Mm.
We want to talk, we want to help you make life decisions and get going in that direction. Speaking of that, Sarah,
Mm.
previous segment, you were talking a little bit about your history
Hmm.
and the eating disorder. And let's pick up that thread, because that's a huge issue nowadays. How much of that do you see in your work I know you work primarily with women. That's
Mhm.
fine. But how much of that do you see?
Unfortunately, a lot more than I would ever hope. Every time sometimes it's a message, sometimes it's a comment. I realize that that person is really truly suffering. Like I said in the beginning, there's an actual eating disorder wherein we need whether inpatient or outpatient treatment. And then there's disordered thoughts around food, sometimes that we carry with us for a lifetime. And for anyone out there, my message is quite clear that you don't have to accept any level of that. Food is fuel. Some people think food is love. Some people think food is a necessary evil of life. But the ability to be neutral about food, to understand how to feed yourself. You can still have foods that bring you joy in those moments, but food neutrality can be such a game changer. And tackling your disordered thoughts around food at any age can really it will change your life. And that time is never spent in vain.
What does food neutrality mean? I haven't heard that term before. What does that mean, Sarah?
So to me, food neutrality is being able to approach it without a good or bad mindset, but maybe also even without a nutrient dense versus non-nutrient dense mindset. So often when we talk about food, we're constantly trying to put labels on it, right? We're trying to say this food is good, this food is bad, but also at the same time, we're saying this food is nutritious, this food is not. And if you're actually able to be a little more neutral about the topic and understand that every time we sit down, we should have a balanced plate of carbs, fat, and protein. Those sources are, of course, in our control. But for the moments where they are not, car breaks down on the side of the highway. Your neighbor has to go to the hospital. We went through that yesterday. We are not always in control of what we consume. And if you're able to be more neutral and say, this is the best I can do for today, and other times it's a little better, we don't feel so emotionally connected to our food choices. And we can say, you know what, actually, it's 3 o'clock. Every day at 3 o'clock, I'm making it up, right? Hummus with fresh vegetables and maybe a jerky. And tomorrow, even if we don't want that, we eat it anyway because we know we should, because that's what we do every day at 3 o'clock. So sometimes it's neutrally approaching our wellness, our health, but sometimes it's just saying, Sarah, this is what you do every day at 3, go do it. Just like some of us have to do with our workouts.
You just keep it simple. That's the whole thing. We overcomplicate this stuff. My guest today, everybody, Sarah Granite. Strong by Sarah is the title of today's episode. Again, if you want to find Sarah and her platform, go to Instagram and you'll be amazed at some of the stuff you'll see over there. You're going to see a jacked young woman who lives the life of not a bodybuilder. I want to get into that. Thank you for all of that good talk about food and fuel.
Mhm.
But where did you get the knowledge? Did you pick up the coaching knowledge to learn about the food as you were going through the powerlifting? And did you acquire that post? I mean, how did that all come together for you? Because you're so knowledgeable now, and I'm sure people want to know. Give me a short answer because we're going to come up on break here in about a minute and a half. So we'll set that up and we'll come back.
Yeah, for sure. So online courses. I got my MBA online. I got certified as a sports nutritionist online, and I continue to take new courses that interest me. There's courses now for women specifically, female athletes. There's books by people like Dr. Stacy Sims about female athletes, both professional and everyday athletes. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and her muscle-centric medicine. I mean, there's so much good science-based information out there. You just have to carve out the time in your day or your week to be able to absorb it and digest it, and then, hopefully share it with the people you love.
Yeah, we mentioned during our pre-show call, our guest again today, everybody, Sarah Grant. Sarah, I'll carry this through to break because we're
Mhm.
coming up close here. Strong by Sarah is the title of today's episode. Dr. Lyon, Gabriel Lyon, I
Mhm.
learned of her and we purchased that book. I actually haven't read that book yet, but I'm going to, was with Dr. Don Layman. As I mentioned in our pre-show call, he's the protein expert.
Mhm.
And another episode you guys should go back and check out because it dovetails perfectly into what Sarah's talking about. And one of the takeaways I had from the doc,
Mhm.
Dr. Lehman, was that we snack too much. That's the thing about Americans, and we don't have the right macros balanced out. We'll talk about all of that as we go through this episode, everybody.
Mhm.
Once again, let me reset. Going to break here. Strong by Sarah is the title of today's episode. The reason being is that's how you find Sarah Grant. It's our guest today on Instagram. Please go check it out. And then maybe you want to join her program. Again, Sarah Granite's Strong by Sarah. This is the Tom Man Show. Boom. So easy. So
Yeah.
I'm going to dovetail back into, um, I tried getting Dr. Lyon. I thought for sure I would get her on the show because Don Lehman's a buddy of hers. He's a
Mm,
mentor of hers at the University of Illinois. And
mm,
it's just the way it goes. I mean, I don't worry about it too much. It's like once as I said, people want a big time. That's fine.
mm,
Who knows? It's got to be a right fit. I had a
mm-hmm,
good idea that, when you and I had a conversation, when it was going to be a good fit, it's got to be a
mm,
good fit because that translates well into radio and again into
hmm.
the video as well. Okay, so
Yeah.
now I've got on here your going back into your points here. Former distance runner, we got the nutrition quality, and then we got the strength training and the creatine stuff. Where else would you like to talk? You want to talk more about your history with the running and how you want me to spin it that way? You want me to go there? How do you feel?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I love when it's so easy. It's okay. I do have a read here. Let me get my card ready.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome back to today's episode, Tom Matt Show. However, you're joining us all over the Michigan Talk Network, on the podcast, on the stream. However, whenever, I am so grateful and I appreciate it. Sponsor of today's third segment is Jamie, White Law. White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need, and we are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. And I can absolutely vouch for that. I've had people call me, say, Tom, can you get a hold of Jamie? I got a question. Am I getting a good rate on this quote from another attorney? And Jamie will always get back to me. He'll get back to you as well. But if you have a problem with this, that's the way he is. That's the way the whole staff is over there at White Law. They are absolutely dynamite. WhiteLawPLLC.com is the website. Great website. Really nice website. You can call 517-777-9785. That's 517-777-9785. Tell them you heard about it on radio, on Tommy's show, and that's good. That helps us. And that way they know that their money that they're investing in us for their marketing is being well spent. So I appreciate that very much. If you didn't ever see the episode that I did with Jamie, the very first episode where he told his story about his getting into the law business, go check that one out because it's very, very well, it was emotional for sure. And it was racially charged. It was a biracial situation when he was a kid. There was an assault with his dad. I mean, it was a horrible story, but it fired him up so much to be an advocate for people in need that he became a lawyer and built this hugely successful law firm. And so I'm very, very proud to have a sponsor like that because it's like, you know what? Everybody's got story. Everybody's got a dang story. Just like my guest today, Sarah Granitz. You can call her Dr. Sarah. You can call her Sarah Granitz. You can call her Strong by Sarah. When you were looking to get strong there, Strong, talk to you, Sarah, and as a former distance runner,
Mm,
and you transitioned, what an odd transition from the distance running into the powerlifting, the bodybuilding stuff. It's like, okay, we need to hear more about that story because I'm sure people are interested out there because you can't run forever, but you
mm,
can do many different things depending on your situation.
mhm.
I'm not dogging running or anything like that. I'm a trainer. I get it, but talk about it, please, because everybody's different. We got to work with what we have at this point in our lives. So go right ahead, please.
Sure. Well, I will dog running just a little. No, I think that being able to run is a gift. Being able to run and take care of ourselves is really important. Being able to be active and do something like running, which is free, right? Just go outside. Often what I see in my work with my clients is they and I were using running as a ticket to thinness, as a ticket to unrealistic, potentially unhealthy standards of what our bodies should and shouldn't look like. Running essentially until we literally physically cannot, running through broken bones, running through other injuries, right? And I think this is one instance where we want moderation. We want moderation in the kinds of exercise that we do. In my programs, we are mostly lifting weights, but that doesn't mean that we don't have runners on the team. It doesn't mean we don't have people doing Pilates on the team or pickleball fans. But when we think about longevity, we need muscle, and aerobic cardio, like distance running, does not deliver those results to us. But like you mentioned, at a certain point, it's just not going to serve our aesthetic goals either. A lot of women suffer with excessively throwing their hunger hormones out of whack because of so much cardio activity. And there's nothing wrong with being hungry, but at a certain point, you should be fulfilled by a balanced meal. So running can actually be a bit of a red flag to me sometimes when I have a potential client who says, I need to be able to still do all my runs, just like someone who says, I still need to be able to go to CrossFit 5 times a week. And I say, I'm not sure if I'm the coach for you, because I want to help you still be doing this, right? 70, 80 years old. And neither of those are.
Does that happen often, Sarah?
It does. And I have been successful, I think, at showing these women that they can still do CrossFit, they can still do a spin class, they can still go for a run once a week. But the bulk of their training, if they want that longevity factor, and if they want to reduce their injuries, a lot of these women do come to me with actual like rotator cuff or, meniscus tears, right? Actual legitimate injuries. They're always reduced and we always feel better. But obviously, also nutrition is a massive part of that. But the kind of stress we place on the body, whether acute or chronic, makes a massive, massive difference.
It's very important. You say moderation, I say balance. It's the same thing. We've
Mhm.
got to have a balanced approach to everything that we do in life, everybody. And that's worth it. Where I have had problems with my excesses and my quote unquote OCD like tendencies. I had an editor tell me one time, you can't say you have OCD, Tom, because you haven't been diagnosed with it. Well, I have a lot of OCD like tendencies, like a lot of people do. You get in these habits, you start feeling good. And I can totally empathize with what Sarah's talking about. Our guest today, Sarah Granite, Strong by Sarah, is that you get that endorphin buzz from the run. And I
Mhm.
see people because now at this point for me at my age at 65 years old, I'm like, okay, I'm more into the biking now. I don't walk as much as I used to because I've mechanically it's just it's okay.
Mhm.
I've worked out on other things, but when we're out bike riding, which we do all the time, I
Mhm.
see some people my age that are running and they just look miserable. And it's just like, shouldn't this be somewhat fun? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the kind of trainer who's like, let's have fun. What do you like to do? I mean, it's like, it doesn't have to be. Talk about your program a little bit. I mean, we got a few minutes to go before we finish this segment. It's like getting from the running into the other parts of the program. How do you customize these things for your people and find their sweet spot?
Sure. It's all a balance, right? So if someone has goals of growing their lower body and they want to run, it's very clear we need strength training and we need a certain amount of volume per week. This has been established by many, medical research studies. And we just have to balance the amount of recovery. When we want to do another activity outside of weight training, whether it's dancing, once again, whether it's like volleyball, we need rest. We only grow muscle at rest. So it's this balance between what do we want to see aesthetically and what are we currently doing? And so just like with food, we very slowly make changes. So it's not this massive shock, but also it becomes more palatable because we start to feel better running less or doing less CrossFit. We start to feel stronger lifting weights, our clothes start to fit better, and then the wheels start turning. And then I no longer have to say, are you okay if we drop that next run? They're like, I already dropped it. We're never going back to that. But in my one-on-one program, that's what we do. Very slow, strategic moves that feel good, that don't rock the boat too much, but also so I can show clients this is the way for a reason, and this is my recommendation for a reason. It's not about what I want. It's about them paying me for a service to get from A to B. And that's the way to get there.
I got to ask you a quick question, and I don't want to give you a leading question with a just short amount of time here. So think about this one here. But how many clients do you have that get caught up in the endorphin rush and they get going but then they don't listen. I have this problem myself. That's why I'm selfishly asking this question. It's about the rest and understanding that taking that time, it's part of the training regimen is the rest, because you may say, I don't need the rest today. I want to go train. I want to go train. But it's
Mhm.
like, no, you need to take a chill. Give me a 30-second and we'll come back on that. We'll finish that thread.
So luckily, most of my clients do understand the value of rest. Some people need 2 rest days and they're really more comfortable mentally with one. But what I always say is, and as someone who used to struggle with rest days, your rest day should still be just as jam-packed as any other day. You're just not lifting anything heavy and you're not sweating from exercise, right? So maybe you're running all your errands, maybe you're getting your weekly massage, maybe you're getting your nails done, taking your dog to get groomed. You should still be doing things. So you're not just sitting at home twiddling your thumbs, missing the gym.
There you go. Call it active rest days, everybody. If you call it an active rest day and you're just kind of dialing it down a little bit, or your weekends are a different strategy like we do here. I mean, our plan here when the weather's good is we do the bike ride, we do some yard stuff, we do some gardening, we do some of the it's like Sarah's talking about, our guest today, Sarah Granitz. It's all about staying active and moving and getting your butt up.
Mhm.
Just get up off the couch, get up off the chair, and let's go. Again, Strong by Sarah. Sarah Granitz is here. This is the Tom Matt Show. Boom. That is a huge problem. And I'm
Mhm.
actually, for me, it's funny because I've been now refired in
Mhm.
October 2 years. And,
Mhm.
and it's like just in the last year have I realized I'm so used to getting up at 4:30 and going
Mhm.
and starting at 6:30 and being done by 9:30. And, usually the students would be like, yeah, okay, where's Tom? How come you're so late? And it's, when I'm in there at 8, they're like, how
Mhm.
come you're late? I'm like, well, because I need that extra rest and we're staying up a little bit later. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
we beat ourselves up. Now, do you want to go back and finish rest? Do you want to go back into nutrition, or we got
We
two
can
more
do
to go?
nutrition.
Let's do the nutrition. Okay, we'll do that. All right, here we go. Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Trust is our middle name. Full disclosure. Tell you the quick story. All right, I'll tell you 2 quick stories. All right, for Brock. And Mike Dedman, I want to say thank you because he was our buyer's agent for Little House Lansing when we sold Big House Holt. But it was just a matter of Brock getting in my head and planting that seed about getting our number done for Big House Holt, which was our dream home, our forever home, our house we built, raised our kids in. And then all of a sudden it's this giant house with just 2 people living in it. It's like time to go. All right. That was a tough decision. I needed to find somebody I could trust. Brock helped us with that. Brock helped us with buying Little House Lansing. And he helped my neighbor next door, my former neighbor next door. You guys have heard me say this story, but it's a true story. Mike came over here, asked me some questions because I kind of was like a little surrogate dad to him. And he would say, Tom, what do you think? We got to go. I got a job offer and I got to sell this place quick. And I think I can get X amount for this. And I'm like, I thought that number was low. I said, I don't know. You need to talk to my boy, Brock. And he did. And next thing I knew, there was a sign in his front yard from Brock. I was like, oh, okay. There wasn't a pitch to do that for him, but it worked. And he wound up getting him an extra $20,000 for his home. And it was a really quick sale. Reach out to Brock, 517-853-6408. His cell phone number, which is what he really likes to and prefers, is 517-303-3262. He is all about text messaging. He's all about voicemail. He will change his greeting. He will call you back when he says you get his voicemail. It will say, hey, it's Brock. It's Tuesday. I'll call you back. Returning calls between 2 and 4. Boom, boom, boom. And he will. kwsellingteam.com is their website, kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles. The reality of real estate is one of our most popular topics on the radio program, the podcast. That's because Brock brings it every time. He had Caleb Coley with him last time, football player at Michigan State University, an intern who's been with him for 3 years now. It was a really fun show talking about helping the young people. That's what we do here, trying to inspire people to think about, gosh darn it, you know what? If you help other people, your heart becomes better. Intrinsically, your life becomes better by doing these things. Our guest today, Sarah Granitz, Strong by Sarah, is her stage name, I guess you could say. That's her Instagram tag, her handle at Instagram. And you want to go there because a lot of other people are there too. I'm looking at it right now, and it's got a paltry, I don't know, almost 300,000 followers on there. No big deal. So she's doing something right. And there's obviously a lot of desire for what she's pitching because she's got the story and she's believable. And the reason I liked Sarah so much was she was all about food because so many people want to restrict our calories and they want to do this and they want to do that. And you get your macros all screwed up. And let's do whatever the flavor of the day is with the Atkins or the keto or the whatever the hell it is. It's like you start screwing with macros. When I say macros, you guys, what I'm referring to is your fats, your carbs, and your proteins. Those three big things, you've got to have those things dialed in the right order and the right amounts. Because if you start to mess with and everybody will say, Sarah, how many times have you heard people say, I'm cutting out carbs. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not doing carbs today. I'm not doing carbs this month. It's like, okay,
Mm.
please, I want you to talk about this. Like, oh my God.
Unfortunately, carbs really are demonized.
All right.
It's crazy to me, actually. It Carbohydrates might not be an essential macronutrient when we think biologically speaking, what do humans need to survive? They need protein and they need fat. That does not mean that every single person should not be consuming carbohydrates. Carbohydrate consumption should be directly related to activity level. So not everyone needs to consume 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. Not everyone should. But in my experience, most women who come to me looking for help with their nutrition, looking to grow muscle, who don't necessarily want to be a muscle mommy or, super bulky, whatever that, the extremes of the muscle trend might be. Doesn't really matter if you want to be lean muscle or you want more kind of defined, obvious muscle. You need carbohydrates. Your body runs on glucose. Your brain runs on glucose. And for most women, we have the actual energy to live our lives if we're consuming enough carbs.
Okay, let's talk about the age of your clients with this, because we're talking food, we're talking nutrition with Sarah. Sarah Grant's our guest today in this little segment, Strong by Sarah, because this is a huge component of healthy life. I mean, to have a healthy life, for me personally, getting your blood work done, all these things, having it dialed in and being really, Sarah, what I like to tell people is like, I am the boringest guy around. I am so boring when it comes to food. It's like,
That means you're doing something right.
thank you, because it's like, so what are the typically the ages of the people? I'm digressing a little bit, but that's
Mhm.
me, me a little bit. You're getting to know me. We'll still come back to the nutrition stuff, but I was just curious about the ages just in a basic area. Can they go from 25 to 100, or is that pretty
Yeah,
much?
so my one-on-one clients are anywhere from 25 to 65.
Uh-huh.
Anyone in my app tends to be just in a pre-made program, tends to be a little younger, so maybe as young as 18. Legally, I cannot advise anyone under 18, and I choose not to
Art.
be yeah, but there's a real lack of information and education for women of all ages, for humans of all ages, men included. Female hormones can make some of the nutrition information and medical studies a little more difficult to digest, or sometimes just harder to kind of say, okay, this is what we learned from a medical study of, even if it's hundreds of thousands of men, it doesn't always mean it's applicable to women. So it's really important to have a coach, even if it's not me, who understands the differences between training a man and training a woman. And often what I hear from women actually who have had male coaches in the past is that really their training and their education is more in training, bodybuilding, right? And they don't actually have a nutrition background. And that is totally okay. But we should never, ever take advice, especially when it comes to food, from someone who doesn't have a background in nutrition. Just like we shouldn't take advice on how to best have a healthy heart from someone who isn't a cardiologist, right? Or someone who isn't trained in that space. So it's really important to check your source and make sure that if you're going to pay someone to help you, that they're going to do it responsibly, especially when it comes to what have they been taught. It's not always malicious. We don't know. In my experience, I hear stories and I know the trainer doesn't mean to do something harmful, but they are, and they just don't know better.
It's the secret is there is no secret. Okay. There is no, the secret is the silver bullet. People say, well, what's the silver bullet? Give me the silver. There is no silver bullet. Okay. Sarah Granitz is our guest today, everybody. Strong by Sarah. You know, the nutritional background. I was wondering about that because as women age, and you're going to have probably a little bit one that's a little older because Sandy's going to take my membership that you sent over to me. And I'm going to, because I told her, I said, you need to get with Sarah. And Sandy trains a lot, but she'll be
Yeah.
66 next month.
Mhm.
And like, but she's in phenomenal shape. I mean, she's in phenomenal shape. So, but you get into the menopause, the pre, post, and menopausal strategies and sections of people's lives. And
Mhm.
this could be a whole show for us, Sarah. But just
Yeah.
to touch on that with the nutrition
Mm.
and the hormonal thing, you got a minute and a half before we go to the end of the segment. Can you kind of condense that down? That's a huge question for a minute and a half answer. Can you give me a snapshot?
Absolutely. Once we start to experience perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, the hormones in our bodies change. The way that our bodies handle carbohydrates is different. We do not process them as efficiently. This means that once we become perimenopause, ideally we are focusing on protein, healthy fat, and then carbohydrates. We still want carbs, but they will be smaller. We see in medical studies that studies on postmenopausal women benefit way more from creatine. They benefit way more from sprint training intervals, sprint interval training. They benefit way more from things like jumping for bone density. So we definitely, once we start to age, we want to get away from cardio. We want to get away from so much extra stress on the joints. And we want to make sure that the time we do spend in the gym is spent lifting quite heavy, meaning very challenging weight, sprinting, and managing our diet in a way that maybe we haven't had to when we were younger.
Okay, let me take this through to break, everybody. Our guest, I'll reset this thing. Sarah Granitz is our guest. Strong by Sarah. Fifth segment, which is coming up next, we're going to talk exclusively about weight training, creatine, why. You know, I'll mix in some of the jumping stuff that the keywords that I just heard from Sarah because I'm all into I do my jump rope every day. And
Right.
so the lymphatic system that you need to have some type of bounce movement to keep that lymphatic system moving and
Mm.
working because there's no pump for your lymphatic system. We'll talk about all of that stuff because that's where the weight training comes in, but also for the big calorie burn and for the bone density and bone health. And you want to avoid sarcopenia, all of these conditions that come along with just growing older because
Mhm.
growing older is good. Not getting old, everybody. Remember how I talk about this. That's where we're going. Strong by Sarah. Sarah Granitz is here. This is the Tom Masher. That's how we do this thing. One more to go. This is plug spot here, there, Sarah.
Yes, this is
Yes.
so fun. Thank you so much again.
Oh, is it? It's a blast. I mean, this is kind of stuff that, this is, thank you for saying that. It's just like we find I love making my relationships with my friends because it comes across so well. I mean, my
Hmm.
one of my production staff people, Vanessa, who I should introduce you to because she's in the Philippines and
Hmm.
she'll see this video, but she is a very, very nominal fee and she is a phenomenal editor when it comes to all of my Instagram stuff now goes to her. She
Oh,
edits all
cool.
the stuff. I just do the recordings now because I'm going back to the university to do some stuff. I learned how to do all that stuff, but it's like, finding these people that are good at Final Cut Pro, she might be
Hmm.
somebody you might want to use. She might be able to help Matthew as you guys continue to grow. It's nice to have a
Yeah.
resource because
Hmm.
we'll talk off air.
Okay.
I'll share something with you off air. Here we go. Do you have all of your contact info, your plug stuff, and get ready to plug the crap out of all your shit? Okay,
Hmm.
here we go. Because we're gonna get it. Speaking, consultations, whatever you're selling, programs,
Hmm.
talk about it all. Here we
Okay.
go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the fifth segment. Remember, the fifth segment is kind of special because the fifth segment is carried on some of the radio stations. It's always obviously on the podcast because we get the whole package on the podcast. And so it's where we get our contact info from our guests. And it's just where we start to really riff hard on whatever we haven't finished yet. Strong by Sarah is the title of today's episode. The reason I called it that is because my guest today is Sarah Granitz. So happy to become friends with Sarah. And I'm looking forward to meeting her husband, Matthew, and talking about how we can help each other do things because good people need to work together to promote good, healthy living. It makes everybody better. And Sarah has been doing a phenomenal job. She's young, but she's had a lot of life. That's the thing about refinement, everybody. Telling you,
Yeah.
even Sarah in her early 30s, she's refired a few times. Now everybody's going to refire. So if somebody wants to refire, oh, like, oh, okay, that wasn't the whole, it wasn't a, I was in the wrong spot. I messed up.
Okay.
I had my cursor in the wrong spot. God dang it. Open this again. See, I'm not paying attention what the fuck I'm doing. God damn it. I'm sorry. That's all right.
Oh,
I just
sorry.
over. Just start the segment over.
Okay.
I should have been watching my freaking screen here, but it's like Mitch. I gotta make a note. Mitch, fourth segment. And okay, at least it's right there. Fourth segment. Messed up. Never fails. So it's always here we go. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Technical difficulties with my radio program. You just got to roll with it. If you're going to have a side game and side action, you can't don't beat yourself up too much because this stuff happens. If you want to connect with Sandy and I, you want to go to the website, tommattshow.com. That's where you go with this. That's how you find us. It's all good. Send us a note. Sarah Granis is our guest today. Strong by Sarah. Sarah, how would you like people to connect with you, find you, do all of those good things? Please take your time. Plug time. Go right ahead.
So I can always be contacted and found on Instagram, strong.by.Sarah. I am also on TikTok, but I am an Instagram girly. You can also find me on my website, strong-by-Sarah or strong-by-Sarah.com. As Tom has mentioned, I mostly work with women. I exclusively work with women in my one-on-one coaching program, but my pre-made programs are for everyone. There is power and strength training for us all, and my workouts are not geared towards women any more so than any workout is geared towards anyone. We all have the same goals. We all want to be strong. We all want to be super fit and living our best lives. I just launched Build, which is a machine-only bodybuilding style program. It's a 12-week long program, which is very different from 7 weeks to Shredded, which is my much more intense powerlifting style program that is also available at the gym and at home. Build is only a gym-based program. And it's either for people who have graduated from 7 weeks to Shredded or for maybe more experienced lifters who want a bit of a change or to maybe use all the fun equipment in their gym that they don't usually get to do.
7 weeks to Shredded. I like it. I have to tell you, I had forgotten to tell you this, but since I had been talking to you the last couple of months or so, whenever we started connecting, I have mentioned you to several of the students at Michigan State that I see all the time.
Thank
That
you.
I'm out the gym there, and they're all very excited. And now I'm looking at your Instagram, and I see several of them are following you now. So that's how it works.
I
You
love
got to
it.
find the people, everybody, because there's so much mis and disinformation out there when it comes to strength training. That's why we're going to have the rest of the episode today, just talking about strength training for women, because I know exactly where she's going to be going with this stuff, but I want you to hear it from the pro here, not from the talk show host who you've heard my voice for 14 years now. Sarah, the misconceptions, disconceptions, misinformation that are out there for strength training.
Mm.
I see, of course, I train with college students all the time, every day. I see more and more young women doing big lifts, powerlifting, and they're really good at it. I mean, I actually get tips from the rower girls because I'm a rower guy, and the big lifts that these young women are doing are amazing. They had to learn it from somewhere because 25 years ago, when I started working at the university, no, you didn't see not one,
Mm.
never. I mean, ever down there. And if you did, it was like very, very unusual. Let's talk about that. All of the attributes to strength training just step through it. I know you're a fan of Dr. Lyon and all of that.
Mhm.
And you know this stuff inside out. The creatine. Please talk about why women should. I just got Sandy to start taking creatine, as a matter of fact, and because of the brain health stuff. But there's a lot of attributes. Please go ahead, talk about all of this.
Yeah, so we can start with creatine. I mean, I think it's easily, I don't think it is the most studied supplement ever. It's easily the most misunderstood supplement. Women only have 70 to 80% of this creatine stores as men. It's so important that females take creatine if they can, if they're not prone to alopecia, if they're not prone to other kidney disorders, the things that we know about creatine. There are parts of the population that should not take it. 90% of us don't fall into that bucket, right? And 90% of us can really benefit from creatine. The benefits that we see to the brain, the benefits that we see for focus, for faster recovery, for enhanced workout performance, for increased muscle mass. And often what I hear from women is that they simply do not understand, actually, on a very simple level, the amount of effort, the amount of food, and the amount of time required to even gain 2 pounds of muscle in a month, which would actually be the best case scenario for a male or female looking to gain mass in the gym. That is literally the most you could get as a natural athlete. And it's such a small amount. And if you're over 5 feet tall, which most of us are, it's going to hopefully be equally spread throughout your body. And we are talking tiny, tiny bits, right? So creatine can serve you in so many ways, just like strength training will. And you won't instantly turn into a Hulk overnight, because, to be perfectly frank, it's 100 decisions that you have to make for hundreds and hundreds of weeks, if not months, to even get to a point where you might say, you know what, actually, I'm looking pretty good. I can stop. Or I can switch from growing to maintaining, which is far easier. Just like anything, you really have to be so dedicated. And that doesn't mean that it's not worth doing, even if you don't want to have a super muscular appearance. But the longevity associated with muscle, the mobility, I mean, the returns on your investment, they're massive.
It's massive. You cannot say enough about it. And as I said about, the stats are out there with the amount of muscle that we lose annually as we grow older. Again, the growing older word term. As we grow older, we're going to lose somewhere between 1% and 2% of our muscle mass. So by the time you're my age, if you haven't stuck with it, you're going to have a ways to go to rebuild that. It doesn't mean, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, from your knowledge, that there's a limiting factor on your age that you can't build muscle past a certain point. Because I know for a fact, well, I'll let you say. I mean, what about it? Building muscle past your 40s or 50s or 60s, you've been sedentary. Is it possible for women to make these changes?
100%. 100%. We can grow muscle at any age. There will be things that are working against us, right? We stop producing as much growth hormone. We do start to lose muscle mass because of that. But that doesn't mean that it's not impossible. It just might take a little more effort than it would have in our 20s and 30s. There's a very famous, I don't want to call her an influencer, but I don't know enough about her to have a different word. Train with Joan is a well-known woman who began her strength training journey in her 70s. Her daughter, I believe, is a fitness trainer. And honestly, she looks just as jacked as any other woman that I see in the gym on a regular basis. And she's proof that with the right approach, anything is possible. And I want to be clear, the approach is not spending 4 hours in a gym every day, right? The women I work with are not professional athletes. I am not a professional athlete. My job just happens to now align with this, hobby of mine. But you don't need to have hours and hours to devote to workouts. You do need to be able to find time throughout your day to devote to your health, right? Whether that's 5 minutes to make your own meals, 10 minutes to go to a grocery, or even order groceries online, right? You need to find the time in the day, but you don't need to find hours to spend in a gym at your home or somewhere else.
It's stackable. And like I like to say, everybody, small wins. Everything in life is stackable. Find good things, find good people, find good food, and stack it. Just have, and as you do this thing with the balance, if you can get a little movement in throughout the day. That's why I like the mornings for myself, because then if we do something in the afternoon, which typically we do a lot of times, that's gravy. All of that is
Hmm.
extra. And so we talked a little bit earlier about sleeping and the recovery time.
Hmm.
Typical week for Sarah is what? With your strength training, give the listeners and your fans out there kind of a snapshot of your life for a week with your training, your sleep, your life with your husband. Go right ahead, please.
Okay. So I actually filmed a Get Ready with Me or Spend the Morning with Me this morning. That will be posted on my Instagram feed later this week. But I train Monday through Friday, typically. I'm now experimenting with taking Friday as a rest day or a cardio kind of more conditioning day. But every Monday is leg day, and I do my sprints. Um, I go to a local gym here and I work out in the morning, just like you. It has to be in the morning. That's what I do in the mornings. Take care of the dog, but then I go to the gym. My husband plays in a pickleball league that he's created in our local area. Come back home, have a nice, massive post-workout meal, as it should be. Your post-workout meal should be the largest of the day. And then Monday, I take client calls for about 6 hours. So I speak with my one-on-ones over Zoom. Sometimes I create some content in between, have lunch. There's always time for eating in my household and hopefully in all of yours. Take the dog for a walk, hopefully get in the sauna that my husband built me in the woods, which is just fantastic. Find a man who will build you a sauna, ladies, or any partner, anyone who will take your dreams and make them a reality. And then we have supper. And my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday pretty much look just like that. Client calls, gym, being at home. Wednesdays and Fridays, I have my personal appointments, right? So I get to do fun things like this, radio hosting. Maybe I'll go to a physical therapist. Maybe I'll go to a dentist. Maybe I'll take the dog to the vet. We take care of ourselves. It also allows me to answer all my client check-ins. We do client check-ins every Wednesday. And then on Friday is more of a loose day. So I do upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body split. And Friday, we do rest.
And that is Sarah Granite's Strong by Sarah. We could have another hour long, 2 hour, 3 hour long conversation. Believe me, we will have her back. It will be fun. It will be much more of a very specific thing that Sarah thinks we need to talk about, because that's where I want to go with her episodes. It's like, get with Strong by Sarah, listen to her on the radio, follow her on her show, and then it's an augmentation to what she's doing on Instagram. And remember, go to Strong by Sarah on Instagram. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show today. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our topics and guests. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Get in the gym, lift heavy stuff. Thanks to Sarah Grants for being with us. Sandy, Craig, Brock, Jamie, have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, I want to say thank you to our production staff, Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. Thank you so much for subscribing, doing all those good things. We are out. Boom. Let me say
Thank
this.
you.
I screwed up that segment, but that's okay. He'll fix it. That's why you have I mean, I can only do so much. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's all good. No, it's great. You did fantastic. You're gonna
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. No, it was fun. And once you listen to this and you see it and you start to have, and you guys talk, and you say,
Mm.
now that you know the format and you hear it and you say,
Mhm.
okay, now we attack. Now we get into the nitty gritty, and it's like, let's bring it,
Yeah,
because
I
we,
would love that.
oh yeah, it'll be so much fun. It's just like, okay, however it fits your schedule,
Mhm.
if Wednesdays are good for you. We'll see how I'm going to start rearranging my schedule a little bit, because I'm going to be, like I said, going back to the university to do some consulting a little bit. So my recording time is going to change a little bit, but that won't affect you guys. And I've been doing some weekend stuff too. So if you want to record on a weekends when it's a little slower,
Yeah,
I mean, that'll be good. So tell Matthew, thank you. He sounds like
I
a great
will.
guy. And, we're good. I got a couple of production things to do here, and
Great.
then I'll be in touch. So about 4 weeks, you're
Okay.
4 or 5 weeks. I will send you a little packet with some links, and you will blast it out however you want to
Yeah.
do it. And, that's how it works with the internet. Long tail, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. It was
My
so
pleasure,
fun.
Sarah. Thank you for being, you're so awesome. And it's
Thank
like, we're going to have a really good time doing this stuff. And it's like, you remind me of the college girls. I didn't want to say anything. Seriously. I mean, and I tell Sandy this all the time too, but the young people at the university from the ages of 17 to 30, you got to
Mm.
try really hard to be ugly. I mean, gotta fucking try. You gotta be so lazy or just like eating bonbons. There's your guy. Is
There's
that
my note taker.
you want me to allow it?
Ready for it. No, it's fine. We don't need that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's
But
just
yeah,
because it's 4 o'clock now. Yeah.
you gotta try. I mean, you gotta try. All right.
Mm,
So you but it's like, so you look like a college girl,
thank you.
and it's like, but you have the knowledge of a non-college. You're like a grad student, because
Okay.
believe me, I know the university really, really well. Between an 18, 19-year-old freshman, sophomore, and a graduate student, and
Yeah.
a woman who's in her 30s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you talked to an 18-year-old lately?
No. Luckily, no.
Okay. It, it, it's definitely different. I mean,
Yeah.
you can tell it's like they're just barely out of high school. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I got to finish this thing. So thank you so
Okay.
much. I'll be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Need anything,
Okay.
reach out to me. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Sarah Grants is great. Wish I wouldn't have messed up my little segment there, but that's okay. Things happen. And that's the thing with doing your side action, everybody. Don't let it bother you. Just roll. Okay. Just roll. Sarah Granite. Go to Instagram, strong by Sarah. And it's strong.by. You'll find it. She's got, according to what I'm looking at right now, at this point in time, 279,000 followers on Instagram. Not too shabby. And she hasn't been doing this all that long. She's got a very, very interesting story. And it was fun as heck talking to her. And I look forward to having her back again. She's just a blast to talk to. So until next time, I am Papa Tom. Hopefully, we get all this stuff done and it comes out correctly. If you can't laugh at yourself, regroup, do something different. Okay. Until next time, everybody. Peace out. Love y'all. I'm Papa Tom. We'll talk to you next time.